on, everybody? Welcome back to Coffee Talk. This week, I got a good friend of mine. We've known each other a long time. A very long time.
Very long.
Like 6 or 7 years now. And I've seen you literally go from bartending in Los Angeles to literally, you would leave seminars, like day-long personal development seminars, and say, I gotta go to work. You go bartend for a few hours, get a few hours of sleep, come back to the seminar with a good attitude. I saw you go from that when I first met you. Fast forward a few years, we've done some business together.
Yeah.
But now, you've got some pretty crazy credibility. We're going to talk about fashion. We're going to talk about looking good. But just to give people that don't know you an idea, you're a personal stylist. Basically, you're an expert in fashion. So much so that you've styled people for things like the Oscars that are coming up this weekend. Summer Olympics, styled the silver medalist. People that went on the Conan show, the Tonight Show, the Emmys, Comic-Con. You kept talking about it. I said, I'm not going to remember all this. So basically, any giant event, think of the biggest events in the world, you've helped people look good when they go to it. So you're obviously really good at what you do. I'm talking about my good friend, the one, the only, Katie Watford. Katie, welcome to Coffee Talk.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
So excited to be here.
You should just have me follow you around all day, and I'll just introduce you to people like that. That's pretty good.
I should.
So, I know you've listened to a couple episodes. You know, first thing first, we write on coffee cups.
Yep.
So I got you your coffee. I think
you.
I did well.
You did. You followed the order right.
I wrote, while you think of what you're going to write, I wrote the word research. I think it's so important, and you know, you've talked about this just in conversation before, like doing your research, doing your due diligence, really looking at something. When you research, it takes away that heat of the moment, you know, oh, should I, and maybe you talk about this in fashion, oh, let me buy those shoes even though they're 3 times the price that I can get them if I research, right? Let me sign up in this deal and get this product, even though if I do some research, I could probably get a better deal, right? So I wrote down research. That's something that's on my mind today. What are you going to write?
I've really been thinking about my word, too, like what I really wanted to say. So I kind of came in prepared for it.
Good.
But my word is going to be presentation.
Presentation. Interesting.
If you think about it, Chris, everything really has to go down to how you present it. How you present your sales pitch to somebody that you want to do business, it makes or break it whether or not they're going to sign up with you or do a business deal with you, right? How somebody dresses themselves is still presentation, right?
Yeah.
How you decide to decorate an office, how it's going to present the vibe to how people want to come in and continue, you know, being a customer. So presentation's huge in my book.
Presentation. All right, so I totally agree. From sales presentations, right? And my dad talked about that. You can tweak one thing in a sales presentation. I don't know so much about fashion, but I know a little bit about business, sales, marketing. You can literally tweak one thing in a presentation, and it changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah.
Can you do that in fashion?
Absolutely.
Can you change a belt buckle?
Well,
you change a shoe? Like what can you tweak? And we'll get into like what people should not be doing in fashion and why it's so important, the dynamics of it. But talk to me, kind of elaborate, like what can people tweak in their presentation fashion-wise? It's
how they're getting themselves dressed. We're in a day and age when everybody just wants to dress casually, right?
My God, I know.
It's so, yoga pants, like.
Which, listen, I'm okay with, you know, I wear a suit every day, right? Even if I'm by myself, so I might be too far to the left. But when I see like the sweatpants at the airport and looking like you just rolled out of bed, it drives me crazy.
It's so bad when you go to an airport and you see somebody and they look like they just like they've never left their house ever, and they look. I'm like, and you're. For me, that's where I just go, what happened in 2018 where we have more resources now than ever to look great, and people look like schleps, just, you know.
Literally, I see people that they're in pajamas.
Literally.
At the airport. I went to the bank. I kid you not. I went to the bank maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. A kid, and you see it a lot with younger people. You don't really see it with older people, right? Like the whole dressing.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw this kid. He must have been 15. He came into the bank with his mom wearing a robe.
No.
A bathrobe.
No.
Thinking he's hot stuff, too. I've never seen something like this before.
So I'm a fan of robes. That's actually my personal thing that I love to wear when I'm not working. That's like, if you really know me, that's like one thing that's like, I call it this robe obsession. I put myself on like robe timeouts because I love my robe so much. But you should never leave your house outside in the robe.
All right.
That's like rule number one.
Of course. So that's obviously pretty extreme, right?
Yeah.
In a robe.
Here in Vegas, you saw that?
Down the street.
Oh my God.
Literally down the street. Yeah. It was so weird. But, so, I kind of just gave two examples. One super far to the right, kid comes into the bank wearing a robe. Then there's someone like me where I wear a suit and a tie every day just because I like to do it. I'll be by myself and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? I just like to do it. But there's that middle ground. What's that middle ground looking like in 2018, men and women?
It's that people, so like how can people step it up? Is that the question, or what's the middle ground that people are in 2018?
I guess what should people be? How should people dress? Like, talk about fashion for someone that, let's say, like me. Like,
let's just okay. So let's just take the airport for instance, right?
Cool.
When flying became big in America, it was a luxury privilege to be able to hop on a plane and go and get on, and people got dressed up for that. So exactly, like you never saw people in an airport back in the 60s dressing like that. So people have lost just the habit of like, it's just socially acceptable to wear a robe or wear yoga pants is what I constantly see people in, workout clothes, because that's a quote unquote trend.
Yeah.
So now athletic wear is something that people think that they can actually wear and do business or look like they're in charge. And that's where it's like, it's my job always becomes challenging, or the fun part too, where it's like getting people to actually put a little bit of like presence and posture into how they, looking sharp.
Okay, so for people that may be wondering, let's just jump into this. What exactly do you do? You're this fashion expert. Technically, you're a fashion stylist. Mm-hmm. What the hell does that mean? What do you do? How do you change people's lives? What is your business?
Okay, so a fashion stylist is somebody who you work with to teach you how to dress yourself. Most people think, I know how to dress myself, but they really actually don't, because there isn't like, you don't learn this in school when you're going
of course.
At all, right? You don't learn this anywhere. You kind of learn it through magazines, maybe through your mom, or you're watching your dad put on a tie, but there isn't really a system that teaches you actually how to dress yourself, not only for your shape, for your profession, but also most importantly, and what I really hammer, is your personality.
Yeah.
Because that's what's really special about all of us, is there's only one you, one me, and I build wardrobes from your personality.
So that's interesting, right? So what can happen to somebody who, let's say, who maybe doesn't have, they're kind of confident, but they know that their confidence can raise. They know their business can get better. They know they can feel better about themselves. All this, they're doing all right though, right? But they know they could be doing better. What would you do with that person? What would be like step one? So you talked about, their personality. Is it find their personality? Is it find their body shape? Like, what's step one when you work with somebody?
Step one is I have them fill out a questionnaire, which is what I call a style assessment. I literally assess where you're mentally at. Because what I always say, style is, it's not about your body shape. It's not about how much money you do have or you don't have. For me, my opinion is style is about you and your relationship with yourself. So I evaluate that first, so that way I know what to do with you next. Women are a lot more emotional about this than men. Men are just like, hey, just tell me what to put on. I'm good. I don't have to think.
Sure, yeah.
Women need a lot more, depending on if they've had trauma or if they got made fun of in school, or if they, women are critical of themselves. We just are. It's just, I
have a few women in my life, so I get it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that needs to be building from that in order, so that way somebody can really feel confident in what they're wearing.
So like a style assessment. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming it's like a list of questions.
Sure.
Or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it questions about like the clothes they already wear, or is it more questions about themselves and where they want to go?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they fill out this, assessment.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it. after you look at it, what happens then? Do you say this person needs to go this direction? This person's more of an alpha. This like what happens?
I evaluate it per person, kind of like what you do when you're figuring out how to coach somebody on their business, right? And then from there, I say, okay, I always go to the closet pretty quickly after a style assessment. So somebody, I might have to do some like homework with them or another phone call and a conversation. Yeah. But after that, I want to assess somebody's closet because as soon as I can see somebody's closet, that really is what I think is the pages to your own diary in a closet, because it...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For me, the closet's the most powerful room in the house.
Yeah, for you, for sure.
Yeah. No, not for me. For women, because there's like... It's your past, present, or more your past, just stuck into your room. Yeah. It's usually just a freaking mess.
I get it.
And then, like, all of a sudden, you're waking up. Let's just take a mom, for instance, and she's trying to get dressed for the day. And she's got to go take care of 2 babies. And then she's got to get herself out of the house, and she's got to go to work. And then all of a sudden, she walks up to a closet, and it's completely just a mess, and she can't see anything. So what's going to happen? She's going to go, I have nothing to wear today. Yeah. And so when she's there, then she like puts on something ragged that she just because it's at a convenience, and then she just puts herself dressed, and then she doesn't feel good when she decides to go out, or when she goes to work that day. And so for me, that's where it's like we start with the closet first before we do any shopping, before we do anything, because that's going to tell me a lot of your style weaknesses and strengths and where I actually need to take you next.
Interesting. So do you like sometimes gut people's closets? Like there's so much negative emotion, but you know what, like, because I'm a big fan of that, of like kind of cleansing even closets, right? I had a friend that was a Buddhist, right, and he was kind of serious, but his parents were really serious. So every year, I think before New Year's, I think it was, they had to clean like the life out of the house, every corner, everything. And one thing they always did was closets. They always got rid of.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I don't know exactly what it was. If it was old clothes they didn't use, they didn't fit anymore. They always cleansed that, not because it was taking up space or anything, but because, and he told me about it once, but it just popped in my head now, because it has to do with like energy. Like they wanted fresh energy going into the new year. So do you like gut somebody's closet? Do you kind of look at it and just analyze, what do I do from here? What happens in the closet?
Usually people are freaking out when they're like, what? You want to see my closet? They're like, no, please don't judge me. I mean, people freak out over this part. Like they don't like it. They're like, you're not, like people get embarrassed about it. It's this whole thing. It's fascinating, actually. I don't know if you,
Interesting.
I was on Talk of the Town. And that is a local news publication in Nashville. Yeah. And so the producer, I gave her a closet edit, and I went into her closet, and she was freaking out over it. She had 3 entire closets full of clothes.
Yeah.
2 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and her name was Tawanda Coleman. Lovely, lovely woman. So she's like, Katie, I don't know what to do with all this. And so she was embarrassed for me to go in there, let alone we were also bringing cameras with it to like actually filming. And people just think like, I'm still like at all why people get so embarrassed, but they just do with it. So, and then it's also like letting go, because it's like women really attach themselves to how we look, and more on a deeper level that it's like, if I pull out a skirt from this, then all of a sudden somebody's going to sit here and say, well, you know, that's what I wore on my first date with my husband. I'm not ready to let that go. So it actually like really triggers a lot of memories, which is why it's such an emotional process. And people think like they're losing their identity if we get rid of things, or they're like, I'm never going to have anything. Like all this sorts of fear actually starts going through their heads. So I just come in really calmly, and I just really gently actually, and because if I gut everything right off the first bat, that very rarely ever happens, unless somebody's like, I need to change something. Yeah.
Interesting. But it makes sense. Like, as you were explaining that, I thought if you came into my closet, I wouldn't just leave you there. I'd be very like, almost have to explain like, hey, there's a reason that's there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That really makes sense. I've never thought about that. Because who else goes in my closet? It's me and my wife. That's the only people that go in the closet, right? I find Juliana in there sometimes.
Oh, I do too.
But that's interesting. All right, so you go from assessment, closet, do your magic there. Now let's talk about. Oh, you know what? A little game just popped in my head. I'm gonna give you a little fire around here.
I love a game.
So I know you like working primarily with women, but you do know a little bit about men's fashion as well.
I work with some guys.
Right? I know some of your clients, right?
Yeah.
You make them look good. So, I guess rapid fire right now. I want you to tell me, this game just popped in my head. I don't know if this is a terrible game.
Okay.
This might get controversial. Who knows? Let's just run with it. I'm going to throw out there people, and I'll describe them as best I can, give them like a little characteristic, a little profile, and you tell me what they should wear, right? Just one outfit that pops into your head. All right? So let's say we got a guy who's 30, in all right shape, that wants to make more money in business. Dresses kind of professional, more like, business casual, but wants to make more money. Wants to go from, let's say, $70,000 a year to $250,000 a year. What's this guy got to wear? What's one outfit that popped into your head?
A really great fitting suit.
Great fitting suit. Any specific color pops in your head? Imagine this person. One of these guys is watching right now. They got to know. Great fitting suit. What color should I wear? Ties? No ties?
Traditionally, most men. It depends on their personality. Depends on their profession.
Yeah.
Right, but general rule of thumb, most guys feel comfortable in like blue or black. So I would always say blue because it's a very calming color.
Yeah.
Right, when you're doing business. So.
Cool. All right. Next, we got a 40-year-old woman. Let's say house mom. Got a couple kids.
Okay.
A couple little kids.
Okay.
Her goal is she just wants to feel sexy. Not too sexy, not provocative or anything like that. She's going to the grocery store or something like that, but she wants to feel good about herself.
Yeah.
What's this woman wearing?
She needs to go get herself a nice pair of high heels.
High heels. Okay.
Yeah. High heel, like, doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-inch.
Yeah.
But, or 100 millimeter, I should say, but like a good pair of pumps will instantly make you totally walk differently. Totally.
But all right, so cool. Let's say she's going to the grocery store though. She got the high heels. What's complimenting the high heels? Is it a dress? Is it jeans? Is it this? Is it that? This might sound really basic for women, by the way. I don't know. That's why I'm at. That's what's rapid fire. So she high heels. What else though with something like that?
You know what? I always find that women, when there's this they want to feel this vocabulary. I want to feel effortless, and I want to look sexy. So for me, it's always just a really nice silk blouse, pair of good fitting jeans, and then a good sexy shoe that has some heel height to it. Right?
Cool.
It's very easy. Doesn't look like you took too much time in it. This is if you're like, I don't want to develop my fashion personalities. I just need some go-tos. I would. A good silk sexy blouse with a nice pair of heels and jeans always will just be very elegant.
I like it. All right, couple more. 18-year-old guy.
Ugh.
He just wants to be honest. He wants to impress some girls. And maybe he's going to, I don't know, a local house party with some of his buddies, right? Nothing too fancy. What's that guy? What should he be wearing? And he's got, let's say, slim fit body type, something like that. What should he be wearing going to this party?
Oh, we gotta put him in something trendy and really flashy, right? To get him a lot of attention, because everybody else, all of his buddies are gonna be in, like, t-shirts and shorts and stuff. So we want to just put him in something that makes him look like he just walked right off a runway.
Okay, make him look good, make him pop.
Yeah.
Peacock a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, lastly, female, 65 years old. She feels like she's slowing down a little bit, but she's like, I still want my husband to look at me like I'm 18 years old. And let's say they go on a date together, right? They go get some margaritas down the street, something they've been doing for 20 years now. What should she wear on her Wednesday date with her husband, 65 years old?
Good question. Good question on this one. That age range struggles the most. I will say probably just a really good classic like tweed jacket. It'll be very comfortable. And in a good pastel color.
And what's a pastel color? Like a bright color?
Pastel is like a soft type of color.
Okay.
So not a jewel tone, which is going to be more like ruby and emerald. Pastels are going to be a little bit more on the softer palettes, where you're going to have like a mint green.
Okay. All right, so not like
sorbet colors.
I get what you're saying. All right, cool. All right, sweet. That was rapid fire with Katie Watford.
Rapid fire. You might have a new game now, right? Like you rapid fire on Coffee
good.
Talk. Thank you.
And you know your stuff though for sure. That's pretty specific. Okay, cool.
But part of that is though, so that's just like generic what everybody's talking about, right? Like what should I be dressing like just to fit in? That's what I don't do. What I do is like I really get to know the person and figure them out and build from that way. Because it's like everybody's just looking the same nowadays, and it's like to have a signature style, as you might hear, or an individual style, it starts with you first. It's not, this is what's coming out of Vogue this season. Yeah. It's not what's walking down the runway. It's not because a celebrity wore it on the red carpet. It has nothing to do with that. That's just forms of stuff to sell the fashion industry.
Yeah.
That's not building somebody's wardrobe. That's not building up somebody to actually represent who they are through their image.
Cool. All right, so I want to kind of transition here a little bit. So you're very into fashion and style and the science behind it, the history behind it.
Yeah.
I can tell when somebody's passionate about what they do because they don't shut up about it. You don't shut up about it. Like we're at Lake Las Vegas a few weeks ago having a cappuccino. Someone walks by with like the wrong fabric of sock on, and you go on this tirade of like the history of socks. So I can tell you're passionate about this. Is this something like you've always been passionate about? Because looking back, even at the bartending days, you were still pretty fashionable, at least in my eyes. Did you find, like, how did this come about?
Great question. As far as I can remember, I always had a fascination with clothes. I didn't come from a mom that was this fashionable mom at all. It's just this, I learned from I was always considered the adopted daughter in a lot of my girlfriends' growing up families, and I learned about being a woman from their moms a lot, and I would always just pay attention to them, and in the back of my head I always just had this kind of fascination with it, but I never had a clue knowing that that's what I wanted to do in life. I always thought I wanted to do all this other stuff, and I was really lost for a long time until I figured it out, and I was like, oh, it's right there sitting in front of me.
So tell me the story. So you've always kind of been into it, never thought you could monetize it, or never thought of it as like a business. When did that decision come? How did it come?
It started in Tustin, California.
All right. For people that don't know, that's my dad's training center.
It started with Chris McGarahan, and you and him were doing a training on, it was right when you had gone to the Patnaws, and you would start right at the beginning of the energy training.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the time of it. I was really lost. I thought I wanted to be a movie producer. I hate watching movies. I'm not even good at it, right? Like, it's awful. And so, so I was thinking on it. I said to myself, I have to figure this out. And within 30 days, that's when I remember it came to me. So that must have been in 2011
or 12. If it was when I just came back from that.
It was around, I think, 2012.
Yeah.
Around then.
Yeah. 2012, that was it.
Yeah. And then I was sitting in my room from a day after bartending. I was exhausted. I was like, just pouncing around on the internet.
Yeah.
And I found this class that said something about going to a styling school. And I thought, why did I just find this? And I couldn't get it out of my head. And then I started to tell people, I said, I think I'm going to take this styling class. And every single person that I had mentioned that to said, Katie, I think you would be phenomenal at it. And I had never had that much positive feedback on anything that I had ever even spoke about. So something intuitively spoke to me, and then all of a sudden when I made the decision to do it, I knew I was home. I knew I hit the sweet spot. And so any time prior to that, when I was trying to say, what do I love to do in life, it totally clicked as soon as I said, I gave myself the permission to be like, okay, you're going to be a stylist.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you did some searching around. I didn't even know the movie producing. That's so random.
I've done it all.
That's so random.
I was an executive assistant in Hollywood for a long time. I know how the whole entertainment business runs. I was really thinking I was supposed to do one thing, and I was like, Katie, you would be miserable today if you were doing that.
I can't even imagine that. It's so random. Okay, so fast forward. So you kind of find Hey, this is something that clicks. This is a sweet spot. But now it's time to get to work.
Yeah.
One thing I've seen you do really well is use your resources. Right? You've been able to, by knowing certain people, but then accessing their networks or networking with their friends or collaborating or asking for referrals. However you've done it, that's what I want to get into. You've been able to really use your resources to get clients and build your business. What's the secret there? What's the secret behind, like, you know, let's say Kiara Bailey, who's been on the show, right? Good friend of yours, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She, like, you and her now do some business together.
Correct.
Right? And I could name a bunch of other people. Like, what's the secret? How do you use your resources so well to build your business?
Somebody's not going to recommend you in something unless they fully trust you in what you're doing. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can be friends with somebody, but then you have to be somebody that's reputable to be recommended, right?
Yeah.
So I always went after people that owned the businesses, right? I always went after them first and impressed them. And once I impressed them, they were like, no, you have to meet Katie. She will change your life. And that was how I naturally did it without even realizing that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right? And then it led me to, I would go work with a top facial esthetician in Beverly Hills. I did her. She recommended me. And then that next client, we did a $30,000 makeover on clothes with this.
Nice.
So it was always, I went after the people in charge. But I impressed them first with what I do.
And then just delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the age-old saying. A lot of people don't know this. Like, yeah, sales and marketing, it's important, but a good product is a good product.
Yeah.
You know? Sales and marketing just optimizes it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sell and market a bad product. And there's this saying I absolutely love. It goes, when people love your product, they'll tell their friends.
Yeah.
When people hate your product, they'll tell the world.
Ooh.
Interesting, right?
I love that.
Think about it. If you have a bad experience on Yelp or on a restaurant, I know Cynthia's like this. She's the first one to jump on Yelp and leave that bad review.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know who's going to read this review, but she's on there to let people know I had a terrible experience.
Yeah.
Like, watch out, don't waste your money, da-da-da. She doesn't even know who's going to read this, but she's first to tell the world. Now, when we go to a restaurant and it's amazing, she's not so quick to leave that same review. She still does. She's actually really good about it.
Yeah.
But when you have a good experience, she'll tell someone like you.
Yeah.
Katie, you've got to try this cafe. Katie, you've got to try this. Dave Timlin, you've got to check this out.
So good, Chris. That is like a great angle. I haven't ever thought of it that way, but it's so true.
So it kind of complements what you were just saying, right? When you deliver a good product, people will tell their friends.
Yeah.
That's all they really did, right? They got cool results. They liked what you were doing, and I'm a big fan of, especially in 2018, this day and age, there's so many products, so many services.
Correct.
There's a lot of there's more money to be made now than ever before, but there's also more competition. Nothing beats a good old-fashioned product or a good old-fashioned service, right?
And how you deliver that is if you do the job, like you give it everything.
Yeah.
So like I've done jobs for completely free, and I've given it like my work ethic that I've done for packages at $10,000. You know, like I never slipped on that whenever there was an opportunity for me. I actually always over-delivered when something was like, this may get you to this. That's exactly how I got to do the Oscars. It was the only way that I got to do the Oscars, because it was like, hey, like, I think if this might work out for you, Katie, and then I get the call Friday night before, it was the Golden Globes. That was how I was able to do the Oscars, but it was the Golden Globes, and I got the call that Friday night, and the Golden Globes was that Sunday, and the only reason it was because of a mutual friend of mine and Kiara's, and she was like, you know who will over-deliver for this without a doubt is Katie Watford, and the rest is history.
Cool. Yeah. So it's hustling even when no one's looking,
correct,
or when it's not the most lavish experience. I think that's the real secret.
Yeah.
It's putting in that work when no one else wants to. Right?
And it's so easy nowadays because so many people don't want to do that. So if you just even have just like this, like a good amount of a work ethic, that's going to take you so far. And I didn't ever know that when I was lost trying to figure out what I was doing in life. I had no confidence for like the longest time. It's one thing I've worked super hard on myself for, but I've always had this impeccable work ethic, and I didn't know how valuable that was.
Yeah.
And when you have that, and then you can combine it with like the right opportunities, you know, then that's when success happens, you know. And then that's how you can tweak it by looking at the correct research and the right presentation on how to like capitalize on it more.
Yeah. But it starts with that good product.
Yeah.
Then everything else complements it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
So cool. So if you don't mind, and I know, you know, kind of, I don't know them super well, but I kind of know them through social media and mutual friends and everything. So I know you've worked with a few people. Give me, and think, you know, one, you won't get it, and if you can't, I'll change subjects.
Okay.
But give me like almost like a testimony of someone that you've worked with. Like, kind of tell me a story. I went into this person's closet, or this person hired me, and this is the result. Here's what I did, and here's what happened to their life. Do you have any like true testimonial stories like that?
Tangible?
Yeah. Not even when I say tangible, doesn't mean like they made $100,000 extra that year.
Yeah.
It could be they started feeling amazing. Maybe it's tangible, like they got more clients.
I just worked very recent case with one of my very few male clients, right? He's phenomenal. He's based out of Los Angeles. This guy,
what's his name?
Ryan.
So
Ryan.
That's what I was thinking of, because I know you worked with Ryan.
Yes. Ryan just had phenomenal success over just the smallest adjustment that I did with him. And the what he just told me was that he came in to work dressed that day, and he said he felt, after I had picked out this outfit and said, wear this to work, and I said, I want you to pay attention to how you feel, and then also how people interact with you. And he got blown away by the compliments that he said, I've never had somebody say that much about me. He said, I knew I was powerful. He said, but now I feel powerful. And then when he said I felt more in charge when I was working on my clients, he said I felt actually calmer, you know. And so it really does like take, and this is due to the science of style, it affects how you think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So that's kind of, I didn't know if you could share that story, but I know you worked with him recently, and I saw the results, and like after seeing him on social media, he's got a little bit more swagger going on, right? Looks like he's killing it a little bit harder in business. So that's why I wanted to like share that story. But it's absolutely like, this is all very psychological. Yeah. That's what people, you know, don't understand. Yeah. Right? But I want people to understand here, like, there's little micro edges in success, whether it's business, health, relationships, just feeling good. There's these little micro edges. Like, you could wear the right outfit, but that's not the end all be all.
Correct.
Right?
100%.
You know, pair that with the right books and audios, pair that with mentorship, pair that with doing what you love, right? There's these micro edges. I'm a big fan of get as many micro edges. When I say micro, small little edges, right? Like, just put on a different outfit that day, but it's got to be the perfect outfit. Like, that edge has to be as crisp as possible. That makes a big difference, right? But it doesn't mean, and I want you to kind of go into this for a second, but I want people to know it doesn't mean wearing a suit and a tie like I do.
Right.
I can, if I go to the grocery store, I'm not wearing a suit and a tie. I actually feel like almost self-conscious. Like, man, I stand out too much. I don't want to stand out at the grocery store. Yeah. Or, you know, sometimes I'll dress more casual. But if I'm too casual at the office, it makes me feel a little bit weird about myself, right? Yeah. So it's really just finding the perfect balance for the perfect situation, right? Yeah. So,
people need the right game plan for their wardrobe. They don't think about it like this. They think like, I just need to go out shopping, I need to have this, and that's it. You really do need to have your work attire, because you need to be able to snap your brain into it's time to go to work. Then you need to snap your brain in it's time to shut the brain off. For sure. Because you do need to relax sometimes in business to be able to go hit the ground running the next day. Right? So there's a very important element that goes into when you're defining casual versus professional versus social, right? People just generically use it in a way where they're not actually putting the meaning behind it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, you've seen
Yeah.
When you're at my house at night, right? Like hanging out with me and Cynthia and just having a glass of wine or something. I'm very I don't wear the suit and the tie, right?
No.
I didn't think about it. That's what I'm doing. I'm shutting off.
Correct.
You know,
right?
Otherwise, if I have the suit on, forget about it.
Forbes.com did an article on this, right? Your work self versus your casual self. And it talks about, in this article, where you actually need to be able to, with what you're wearing, it's going to snap you more into it, and how you actually do need to give your brain a rest.
That's interesting.
So,
I agree. I never thought about it, but that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
What I wear literally determines the vibe that I'm going to go have, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing a phone call, I had a phone call this morning with a really successful guy. That phone call, I got to wear the suit. But if I'm calling, I don't know, my grandma in England, well, I'm going to wear something more casual. You know, if Kiara comes to my house and wants to talk, I don't know, about hair for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Probably not going to wear the suit, probably wear this.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't think it literally can snap your attitude. It can snap your thinking, your judgment or something like that. So, next, kind of lastly, I want to talk about this. So you've worked some pretty high-end deals. Mm-hmm. Some pretty high-end people, some pretty high-end dollars. Mm-hmm. But that's not, fashion. Fashion, that's part of fashion, right? Gucci and Louis Vuitton, da-da-da. But that's not, like, someone could still look and feel amazing without spending 20 grand on something.
Totally.
Right? It's all about finding what fits for them. You've now done something that's interesting because you've obviously been in high-end deals.
Yeah.
Now you've kind of transitioned to helping people that maybe they don't have the huge budget to go spend 10 grand or 40 grand or 50 grand, or they're not going to maybe they have the budget, but they're not going to the Oscars or the Emmys. They're not doing, that's not their vibe. That's not what they do. You now kind of created this business model to help the everyday person just look a little bit better, feel a little bit better, think a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's where it's what it's called. It's called Style Retainer, and it's where I actually can shop and style somebody right out of the comfort of their own home, because I do it remotely. So I have clients nationwide on my Style Retainer. Actually have a client in Canada as well. And so for me, the reason why I created this is because it's actually what's really needed. Is people need help putting together outfits because they just don't know how to do it and how to shop. I can do magic with like $150. I can make it look like it costs 15 grand, right? I know those tricks.
Nice.
I know how to do that, right? And I see people shopping and they're just like thinking they got this great deal on something, $70, right? And I'm like, if you just were talking to the right person, I promise you that could go a lot further for you. So that was why I created this, because I wanted to work with more people, right?
Cool.
Because I had learned that from doing the high-end deals. But what I see, what's really where the market's heading, is people out there just need help with this.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll be able to help a lot more people.
Yeah.
Because the gist of this, to kind of wrap up, and then I want to kind of plug you for a second, the gist of it is this is just something that can help. This is just one other thing. To you it's major. To some people it's like someone like me. It's big, but it's another
Correct.
tool in my belt. It's something that's important. I need it, but I think it's a lot of tools combined, right, to build a house. It's important. It will help. So I'm glad you did that. That's cool because this whole fashion thing. I think people, maybe it's more men than anything, but I think people like really put it in a fashion means thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's not. It's what works best for you, your style, your budget, and making $1 go a long way. That's what you do. So if somebody's interested in learning more about this, maybe taking your assessment, doing the remote deal, just talking to you in general, what do they do? How does someone get in contact with you?
Email me at katie@katiewatford.com. You can go to my website, and it says go to my contact page, and you can easily get in contact with me with there. Because you're absolutely right, Chris. It's a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like like I still have to do other things to make sure the whole package is there.
Yeah.
But I am really passionate about this part because it does help people change the way that they view themselves. It affects their self-confidence. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so in closing,
Yes.
Katie Watford,
Yes.
is there anything you want people to leave with? Meaning it could be fashion advice. It could be just a theory that's going on in your head. It could be some personal development. Is there one last thing you want people to leave with?
Stay tuned for the next Coffee Talk episode.
Stay tuned for the next Coffee Talk. Great thing. All right, Katie. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. Drop some cool knowledge. I think people are going to be really interested to talk to you, learn more about it. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Good Coffee Talk. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your attention. If you're interested in Katie and what she does, reach out to her, Katie at katiewatford.com. Aside from that, stay tuned for next week, and we'll talk to you next time.